Chelsea. We're a new startup, and I'm not actually going to give you the full product demo today because that would take too long, so I'm going to just focus on the parts of our product that deal with integration to other applications and the analytics that we have in the product. So our product is a response management lifecycle system fully embedded within Salesforce, and it addresses the issue of the traditional linear sales funnel, which was really the foundation of Salesforce development about 10 years ago, where we thought about leads going through the funnel and turning into opportunities, and didn't really address the fact that in today's world we're actually marketing to people and getting hand raises for people in our database in an iterative way over time. We cross-sell, we upsell, we might lose an opportunity, and later on we might re-engage with them. So our system was designed to enable Salesforce to have a full life cycle system right within the application. So the challenge is we were a team of marketers, marketing consultants for Salesforce and ex-Salesforce people. And the challenges we're addressing with our product is the difficulty in marketing to contacts. So distinct from leads in Salesforce, there's contacts, they don't have a status, they don't have the model of qualifying and converting. A contact just kind of sits in the database, and there's no way to really qualify them again once we've converted them, and oftentimes we're building a contact database for deals we might have lost along the way, so these people never become leads again. There's also, because of that, it's difficult to qualify and sell to leads and contacts in your database in a unified manner. And it's also very difficult to track and report on leads and contacts in a unified manner. There's also no historical data on what the outcome was for every single engagement you had with a person over time. Most of the reporting in Salesforce is point in time, where we can know what the status of a lead is today, but we don't know what the status of the lead was 6 months ago when a rep called them. What was the outcome? And we also wanted to address the issue of campaign metrics in Salesforce, where the campaign ROI metrics in Salesforce are incomplete or inaccurate. Of 7 ways to create opportunities in Salesforce, only 2 of them get campaign attribution at all, and that's always going to be the last touch, whether or not it was a response in your system. So this is our integration story. We are a native application. We are fully embedded within Salesforce. We support your business process, and we trigger on the creation of a campaign member within Salesforce. We integrate with marketing automation solutions. We can interpret the scores and the data they're coming in. As long as they're sending us a campaign, as long as they can create a campaign or send us data so that we can create the campaign. And we can also integrate with other applications as long, again, as they can either send in something that triggers the creation of a campaign, or they're able to add a campaign to our system. We've built hooks and functions that you can call. So our product is designed to be very extensible, and you can kind of blow out the reporting with our application. And we also can work with custom code. Some companies, because we work in Salesforce, everybody does their own thing, right? So we can work with some companies have custom code that triggers assignments. Some people are doing their own scoring. And then people are oftentimes using other app exchange solutions. So if you have an integration challenge, talk to us. We probably have a solution. So our analytics solution is very extensible. Essentially, as I mentioned, we report off of the campaign members. So a campaign member for us is a response. And a response can be an inbound response from a person, or it can be an outbound where sales has created targets that they're going to call out on. So you can actually track engagement, whether it was generated internally by the sales organization or whether marketing generated it. And what we've done is we've put the campaign member object on steroids, because it's a great object in Salesforce to unify reporting across leads and contacts. And we capture things like the net new name metric on leads and contacts. So right now you can't answer the question of Salesforce, I ran these campaigns, which ones generated a new name in my database versus which one was already an existing name in the database. We create a relationship between the campaign member and an opportunity if it gets generated. So since we're a Salesforce group and an analytics group, I'll assume some you've all dealt with reporting in Salesforce. So since there's a lookup relationship to the opportunity, you can then blow out what you're reporting on your responses with opportunities, because you can pull up data about the opportunity up to the campaign member with your custom formula fields, and you can also understand the revenue generated, lost, and won. We do think that the last touch is important. We also capture the first touch, and we capture the tipping point. So key to our philosophy about marketing ROI in Salesforce is the one that should be, the primary campaign on the opportunity should be the tipping point. That's the opportunity. That's the campaign that drove rep engagement. That should be the one that we capture. So if you responded to watched a webinar and the sales follows up on you, and after that you downloaded a white paper, by default the white paper would get the ROI in Salesforce, but in our system it was that webinar that would get associated as the primary campaign. We also have a revenue influence model. So many marketers want to understand, they want ROI, but they also actually want to understand how much revenue did my campaigns influence. I mean, this one came in early stage, we didn't talk to them yet, but how much revenue did it influence along the way? And what we've done with the revenue influence model is decided that we're not going to tell you what your model should be, because everybody has different ideas about how they want to calculate it. Some people want 100% of all revenue to go to every single touch. Some say it should always equal the same amount. Some they say the first touch should get 50%, and the last touch should get 25%, and everything in between should be equal. So what we've done is we do provide an influence model, but we also have an SDK and the ability for you to create your own revenue influence plugin to our system, so that you can calculate influence the way you want to. So we can calculate influence based on contacts, contact roles, everybody add an account, pretty much any data you want. The default opportunity amount field, or if your organization uses other fields to calculate amounts, you have different revenue influence models. We capture historic metrics on the campaign member. I'm going to show this to you in a moment. So right now in Salesforce, when you want to report on a lead, you might understand what their status is today, and there might be a field there on their budget and their timeline, and you don't know when that budget and timeline field was set, right? Your rep comes and re-engages that lead, and for all you know, that budget and timeline was put in that lead a year ago, and it's just not relevant data. So what we do is we capture historic data based upon what we knew about them at that time. We have the ability to synchronize that data onto the campaign member on campaign member create. We can update it while we're engaged with them, and we can also clear a field such as budget and timeline off the related lead or contact when a response is resolved. And when we talk about a response being resolved, we're saying it was an engagement that was either disqualified or it turned into an opportunity, and then that opportunity closed. So we have funnel metrics. I don't know if any of you are following Serious Decisions and talks about inquiries to close, but we do track the funnels within Salesforce, and they're customizable to your business process. Some companies pass lead and contacts, and some companies generate opportunities. That's marketing qualified as an opportunity, and for some, marketing qualified as still lead and contacts. So we track funnels based upon your business process. And we can track things like, one of the challenges sales organizations have is they know how many leads a rep owns, but they don't actually know how many leads a rep had to engage with. So we can track the response volume that reps had over time without having to go into a data warehouse to get at that information. And that, again, that's across leads and contacts. So one of the big challenges about response volume on contacts is, what do? You send them an email, you create a task for them, but you don't know if they followed up. Those reps that own accounts and contacts are typically focusing on their opportunities and their quotas, and they're not following it up on all of these contacts that have raised their hand and said, hey, we're interested. So with our system, you have full visibility on all of the responses, whether or not reps are following up on them, aging, neglect, and outcome. We also have dynamic repeat campaigns. So in Salesforce, you can only become a member of a campaign once if you're a leader or contact. And our system, based upon your rules for repeat campaign behavior, will dynamically spin off a repeat campaign and create a repeat campaign member. So you can start seeing repeat behaviors over time to the same, maybe they downloaded 2 trials, or they came back and got that white paper a year later. We do have dashboards and reports our approach is that we provide a nice set of templated reports and dashboards, because you're going to blow this out anyway to meet your company's specific needs. Everybody wants to track things differently, so we have some great things that you can get started with, but there's lots of opportunities to blow out the system. So I'll show you some of the data. So I have to shrink this down because it's too much resolution. Okay, so this is one of the UIs we provide. This is our Response Intelligence UI. And what we have here is we have aggregate data across all responses. It's designed to be a quick filter, quick ways to generate reports to get information for your executive meetings. And all of these pop up to have a larger white background, and we have just some basic filters here. So there's no drill down here to the underlying reports. It's aggregate data, but on the fly. You can do things like, you can see your marketing funnel, you can see your sales funnel, you can build out different funnels if you want for the channel. So now marketing and sales is looking at their funnels and their response data with the same unified data set. You can sort by campaign type, and marketing region. Now all of our data is in Salesforce, so you can, of course, get at this data through standard Salesforce reports. You aren't reliant upon these dashboards. These are simply available because it's impossible to get a funnel in Salesforce. So for example, this funnel generally takes hours and hours to generate by hand, which is what was a conversion, what's the percentage of conversion from stage to stage in my funnel. We did a data migration for a client, and marketing was able to determine, even with flawed historical data, with incomplete campaign metrics, they were able to see a 50% increase in their contribution towards revenue, just from the flawed data. This is, again, net new names. So we do some funnel comparisons. We have a few comparisons, and there's about 14 components in this dashboard where you can look at previous version. And then this is just eye candy. Salesforce lets us display up to 500 records. This display does respect your permissions in Salesforce, so if you're not allowed to see a record, you won't see it. But what we're doing here is we're tracking the outcome of every single response. So all of these responses here are currently in, these are the rep is attempted contact, this one's working. Some of these you'll see are still not contacted. So when you see the stages like attempting contact, working, this is just our demo org. These stages can be modified to map to your organization's process. So let's look at this. We're looking at responses, so we're looking at the campaign member object. Let's look at the underlying data set that we're driving these reports from. So this is a contact that has participated in some campaigns. And you can see what we're doing here. When we say we know the outcome of every single response, we can see that the first campaign came in. It generated a net new name. The score threshold in this model is 100, so this was a score of 50, so it was resolved, no action was required. So we can start understanding whether or not our campaigns actually drove engagement or not. The next one came in at a score of 100, and it did generate, it was marketing qualified, and it ended up generating an opportunity. So its current status is a new opportunity. Opportunity is still open. And one came in after the fact, which was an inbound call. And at that point, we were still working on this opportunity. So it's set to resolved already engaged. So we know that we were already talking to them at that time. There was no action required. So we'll go ahead and we'll look at this 30-day trial campaign member. And you can see what that looks like. So this is a really pretty minimalist view of the campaign member. So what we're doing here at the response status is we're synchronizing with the status of the leader of the contact. So at any given time, you know what the status is of the leader of the contact during this engagement, right? So once we've closed this opportunity, this will be opportunity won or opportunity lost. And we'll go ahead and wait for the next response to come in and open up that response. But during the time we're working it, we're always staying in sync. So when you want to report and you want to understand, I ran this campaign, what happened to all of those responses, you'll actually be able to see in real time how many were working, how many are attempting contact, how many got disqualified, how many are opportunities in the dollar amount. Here's where we're tracking funnel stages. So this is all the same stage data. So here we would have tracked it was a net new name. We're tracking the funnel stages and we're tracking the dates. So you can see velocity. You can start seeing if data has been stalled. This is an area where you'll probably like to blow out. This is just custom. So when you want to report on your responses, VPs say, well, I want to see my waterfall, my inquiry to close by revenue tier. Or I want to see them by geo. I want to see them by title. I want to see them by, I want to see my funnel just for this month, right? So all of the data here, this is an area where you can blow out and map additional fields up to the campaign member for synchronization. I'll show you that configuration area in a minute. And then we capture opportunity data, which again, you can also pull more data up on the opportunity. So this is our opportunity, and it currently has no dollars associated with it. It's not closed, it's not won, and we're understanding the data was created or closed. We have a ton of functionality around here that we're not going to discuss around handling things like merging and deduping and deleted opportunities. And because we're in Salesforce, we're kind of subject to user behavior. And there's no influence. I guess I didn't pick a good example for you because I didn't have dollars on here, but this is where we would capture our influenced revenue. So as you can see, what we're doing with influenced revenue is we actually capture that response's influenced revenue on the campaign member rather than an aggregate amount on the campaign, right? You run a campaign for a year and you can't say, well, what did I influence in the last 6 months? What did I do in the last 6 months? What was the outcome in the last 6 months? Because it's up on the campaign member, you can actually slice and dice and combine all sorts of different responses, and you can do it by geo and say, in this geo, how much revenue did we influence for all people that responded in North America, right? So you have this independence of that metric because it's up on the response and it's not just a single aggregate number on the campaign. We stick it on the campaign too, but this is where it's coming from. And then we have some administrative fields. We know what the response was at the time. We have a life cycle. We have the concept of a nurture timeout. We have a great white paper on designing the life cycle in Salesforce on our website, and we'll talk about some of these concepts. We also look at when was the status last set, so you can start seeing aging and neglect. So this is our systems configuration section. And one of the things we do, which is really cool, I haven't seen before, is we actually run diagnostics. When you load this page, it's going to tell you if there's any errors, if you've added a field or a status that you haven't mapped yet. And this is where we would synchronize fields. So if you want to add some additional fields to slice and dice your data by, you can literally map them right here. So these would be lead fields. This is the field on the campaign member, and this is your criteria. Always push it up whenever a response comes in on Create. If it updates while we're engaged with them, keep the latest, and clear it off of the related lead or contact after it's resolved. And we have the same thing for accounts down here. And then I'll show you the revenue influence model. So this is where, if you want to build your own influence model, this is the basic criteria for calculating influence. We have time. Salesforce doesn't let you really schedule batches very well, so what we have is we have a batch that will run randomly within 24 hours. You can also push a button to run it on demand, but we do have some timeouts, so you can block times when it won't run, so it's during your workday. You can prevent that, and then this is where the influence model is. So if you build your own plugin for your company, it would appear listed here. You would install it into Salesforce through your own package, and then you would be able to activate it. And in our model here, we just do a simple point weighting system, and we have the ability to exclude some campaigns, how many days back to go, and this is just our model, right? There is no, at this point, there's no thought leadership on how to do revenue influence, so we don't teach how to do that. So these are some of our dashboards that are, again, just really foundational reports that you can do templating with. This is the one that we always like doing. This is kind of fun. So here you're just looking, this is just looking at the standard type field, and we're looking at blue is pre-qualified, green is qualified, 3 is post-qualified. So you can start looking at, you know, where are these campaigns landing in terms of our engagement with people, right? Same data you just saw before. Well, actually I didn't do that plugin responses over time. On the top right, you can see, here you can see number of responses. Here's an additional opportunity amount. Here's influence revenue. And we can see that the influence revenue, we've seen this with clients, the campaigns that rank higher on influence revenue aren't necessarily the ones that have the best direct opportunities. So we actually have had marketers go, hey, that campaign did do well. What do you know? And then we've got, this would be an example, just some example of some operations dashboards. So here's, you know, again, you'd blow this out maybe by different sales organizations, but you know, here's all of my responses, my actionable responses by my owner and what's their current status. Here's again all responses by status that were generated this month. Here's, you know, in the middle we've got neglected responses, whatever your definition is. If it's been in the same status for 2 weeks, it's neglected, it can expose it. Here's, you know, volume over time. Well, understanding the volume over time and the outcomes by rep, by team, can help sales organizations decide on how they need to staff up or down and can look closer at performance. You can capture things like disqualified reason, right? So why are these things disqualified? So it gives you a nice feedback loop between sales and marketing. So here's just standard Salesforce reports. Here's a funnel in Salesforce. You can't do this right now. Leads and contacts. Inquiries. Our taxonomy is customizable, by the way. So we're doing marketing qualified responses because it's a responsive marketing system, and if you want leads, you can call leads. So inquiries, MQLs, SARs, SQLs, opportunities counts all the way down to amounts. Marketing funnel, sales funnel side by side. You want to slice and dice that. I want to understand this by titles. Here's your funnel by titles. Right? Again, responses. So this is just this month. You can create now time criteria based on your funnels. I want to understand the same funnel by revenue tier. And here's just an example of, here's your rep volume by month, by stage. And this would be, there's not a lot of data in here. It's just a QA, a demo work. So this would be a way to see responses that were disqualified by disqualified reason. So you could also do by disqualified reason and revenue tier. So you can, this is just an idea of where you can go with the reporting. So did you have any questions? Oh, I had one more page. Just reviewing here. So the last one, let's see. Okay, so learn more. Use it for your company. Let us know you want to use it. If you're building an application, we'd love to talk to you about integrating. Your data can come onto leads, contacts, get blown up into the campaign member with our synchronization system, and you can start getting great analytics on application usage. Or if you are a consultant, it's a great solution to solve a lot of problems for your customers. We would love to talk to you about partnering with you. We are looking for implementation partners, and that really partners are a pain. They can't do this either. So that was the end of the presentation, and I'm happy to take any questions if you have any.
Pricing.
Pricing is based on the volume of leads and contacts in the database. I don't have the pricing back here, but and then if you are known to have a bunch of bad data, we can talk about it. But we didn't price for discounting. We're about half the price of a lot of the higher end marketing automation systems. Well, thank you very much.